Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Miss Shane, coming to you live from Walker Graham Middle School. And in this video, we're going to be working with some modeling equations. And so as we transition to equations, we need to make sure that we can remember the ideas and strategies we used when simplifying expressions. So you're going to use this one key when we're doing these notes. So make sure if you want to maybe make a different key with different colors, make sure you can draw it out for yourself there. So again, it's going to work like this. You just have one X. So I have one of the rectangles. Make sure you are taking your time as you do make it, because I've seen a lot of people mess this up where they're kind of drawing whatever they want. You have to stick with that key. So I'm going to draw, as I have my 1X, I'm going to have two more positive X's, so they're not shaded in. I have three negative ones. Those are shaded in. And then I have one positive one. Once you have the model written, I go to simplify by making 0 pairs. So I'm going to group these together because one positive and one negative cancel out. So you can see, okay, what do we have left? Well, I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 positive X's. And then I have 1, 2. I have 2 negatives. That is your simplified expression, and it is that easy. To keep going, I have 1 negative X. I'm going to draw a rectangle, fill it in. I have a positive 1. I have 2 negatives. And I have 2 negative X's. Again, you have plenty of space, so make sure that you are drawing a rectangle for the X's and make sure you're drawing a square for the 1's. I now combine my like terms. So I see, okay, I have 1, 2, 3. I don't have any other X's, so I'm going to have 3 negative X's. And then I can say, okay, same idea. I have a 0 pair, so those cancel out. Well, what is left? Well, I just have 1 negative. That's my simplified expression. One last example, just to recap. I have 2 positive X's. I have another 3 positive X's. If you want to, you can write X inside of them if that helps you, but just make sure that you are not drawing too much. So now, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negative X's. I need to shade these in. All right. So let's see, what can I combine? Well, I have a negative and a positive. Those cancel out, so I can put a line through it, cross it out. I have a negative and a positive, cancel out. A negative and a positive, cancel out. And a negative and a positive, cancel out. So I see, okay, what is left? I have 1 positive X, and I have 1 1 positive 1. Make sure, if you need to, use extra space or use the tiles to eliminate, make sure you do. So your turn, try this one out and check with me. With equations, it is the same exact idea. An equation is made up of 2 equal expressions. That is why there is an equals to symbol in the middle, the equal sign. So what we're going to have these 2 sides are 2 different expressions, but they are equal. And so let's see how this looks. Using that same key, I'm going to draw 1X. I have 7 negatives. 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. And then on the right side, again, notice how the equal sign is in the middle. We're trying to make sure that's balanced. So I want to make sure I have on the right side now, I have 6 negatives. So what happens? Well, how do I get rid of these terms here? Because I'm trying to get, what I'm aiming to get, I'm trying to get x, I'm trying to get variable, one variable equals a value. That's all I'm trying to aim for, right? That's my goal. So how do I get that? Well, I have to get rid of these. So how can I get rid of these 7 negative ones? Well, what you always want to do the opposite. Just like when you are unwrapping a present, you're trying to do the inverse operation. So I'm going to now add 7 positives. Again, since it has -7, I want to add 7 positives. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. That way it stays balanced. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I cancel my 0 pairs out. So I have a 0 pair, 0 pair, 0 pair, 0 pair. Again, make sure you are taking your time drawing these out for yourself. Same idea on the right side, 0 pair, 0 pair. I have things that cancel out, and if you notice, what am I left with? I have 1x equals a +1. So I'd write x equals 1, and that's my answer. Same idea on the back. Again, I can draw out my values. So I have a +1x, 7 +1s. On the right side, I have 3 negatives. I want to make sure that I'm doing the opposite. So since it has 7 positives, I have to do now 7 negatives. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whatever I do to one side, got to do the other. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if you notice on the left side, we have our 0 pairs. I can cancel out things that are opposite of each other. Again, a -1 and a +1 cancel out. All we should be left with is that 1x. And if you notice on the right side, there's nothing to cancel out, but we do have a value. So how many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have x equals -10. I'm going to let you try this one out for yourself. This same idea works for multiplication and division. I'm going to model this first, and so we have 2x, 2 positive x's, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm trying to do with this is I'm saying 2 x's equals 4 1's. So how can I split this or group this so I'm looking for, one variable equals a value? The way to show division is you can just kind of circle your groups. So maybe if I wanted to, I can draw lower, or I can just kind of circle my groups here. So I can say, okay, well, this is one equal group, and that's another equal group. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm dividing both sides into 2. I have 2 groups. I divided both by 2, so I have x equals 2. Same idea, even though it's negative, I can still do that. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are actually, it's okay, make a mistake, be sure to fix it. These are 4 positives, and so I have 4 positive x's, and then I have 8 negatives, so I can kind of draw it. And if you want to, as you're drawing it, I can say, okay, hey, I have 4 groups, so I can kind of make sure that I'm dividing them into 4 equal groups. So I go along, and that means that each of these groups are going to get 2 negatives. Notice how they're kind of in these rows like so. And so just like the last one, you can see that, hey, I have 1x, so a positive 1x is equal to 2 negatives. Make sure you can try those out for yourself. And again, I believe it is W3 is that modeling and solving equations.